very good afternoon to you and welcome to today's edition of Joy Business Masterclass. Masterclass is powered by Joy Business and is brought to us by Goyle. Goyle Good Energy, Goyle Yanara Yedia. Masterclass comes your way every Wednesday now at 1:15 p.m. and runs all through to 2 p.m. here on your superstation Joy 99.7. My name as always is Yaw Barnafo and I'm glad to be your host for today's edition of Joy Business Masterclass. Last week here on the show, we started a conversation on understanding the basics of investing. That was a rather insightful conversation. And we had here on the show with us Eugenia Bashir, who's the CEO of Sarpong Capital, and also Sairam Ofori-Atta, who's also the investment manager at Temple Investments. If you missed that show, by all means, please go to our Facebook page or our YouTube page or our X page and watch that conversation. A very good afternoon to you, Eugenia, and also to you, Sairam. And thank you for coming through and sharing those thoughts with us. Before I continue, though, I would definitely be amiss if I don't say thank you to my brother and my friend Pius Koduah-Sarpong. Pius did a great job sitting in for me last week, and we had a very wonderful conversation. Today, you notice I'm rather excited and have a spring in my voice because we continue that conversation on investment. And today we want to look at the specific focus area of understanding the capital markets. Just to also remind you that we're streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X. And we have a couple of slides today as well for those of us who want to make notes and understand what's really going on, what you want to do with your money. So join us live if you're able to, and by all means do make some notes. We have a double whammy team today as well. I'm privileged to have with me the CEO and founder of Sarpong Capital and also the head of investment banking at Securities. Today we're going to be talking about investment banking and how the capital markets work. The CEO of Sarpong Capital, Kofi Koduah-Sarpong, he has one of those CVs that when I grow up, I want to be like him. He's very well versed, the Chief Executive Officer of Sarpong Capital. He's an independent financial advisory, well versed in capital markets, firmly established since 2013. If I want to read his CV, by the time I finish, I will not be qualified to read it. So Kofi, please permit me, but you are very well versed. I can assure you that all the information is going to give you now. You can go to market with it. Derek is also here with us. He's the head of investment banking at Securities, and he's also going to be here sharing some thoughts with us as well. So, like I said, we have a couple of slides. We're going to go straight to those slides. We don't have too much time today. So, gentlemen, welcome to the conversation. I know that we started talking backstage yes, before we came on air. A bit of excitement, and I think that I won't ask my questions now, but I'll just say this as a precursor that it's a rather difficult uphill task that you gentlemen have because, again, we're here having this conversation on trying to win back the trust of the Ghanaian people in the financial markets because of all the things that have happened. But we don't stop. We keep trudging on, we keep moving on, and hopefully that's the conversation we're going to have today to let people understand that regardless of what has happened, you don't stop. You don't stop because you live in the world, you're part of a global community, and that's what's happening on the global scene. You can't take your money and go and put it somewhere else. It's going to be here. So I'll end it here. I promise my producer I won't talk too much today. So I suppose that Kofi, you will share with us the slides, yes? That's right. And then when we get to the interactive session, both gentlemen will field the questions. That's right. By all means. So Kofi, please take us away.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to all your viewers and your listeners on this show. So we'll dive straight into the presentation, and this is all about understanding what the capital market is. We're going to understand how markets function, what the financial services landscape in Ghana looks like, who your key regulators are, and who the key players within the market space are. Then we'll talk about how companies raise money through the capital markets, and then how capital market also drives growth. So that's going to be the flow of the presentation.
Super. Let's try and break it down a bit because I've got a very wide spectrum of listeners, right from the person who sells across the street here, Kokomlemle, to the blue chip company who's listening, who never call, but they meet me at the golf club and they say, yeah, we're listening to you. So let's make sure that it's able to speak to both ends of the spectrum, if you will.
Exactly. Yes. That's why the two of us are here. As I told you, we're the Avengers of investment banking, so we come together
let's do some avenging today.
Right. So what is the capital market? And I don't know if the slides are showing.
Yes, by all means. Like I said, we have some slides, so as Kofi speaks, we'll move the slides along for those of us who want to make notes.
Fantastic. Yes. So in terms of the capital markets, understanding what it is, you first have to understand what a marketplace is. A marketplace is where people come together to buy or sell specific goods or services or products. So in the same vein, the capital market is a place where buying and selling of financial products takes place. And the real purpose of the market is to mobilize savings, move it into productive use, and then drive growth in specific areas. And that's the broad sense of what the capital markets is. And it acts as an engine of growth for within the financial ecosystem. Now, in terms of how the markets actually function themselves, you've got these users and providers, and your viewers will see on the screen how they interact together. The individuals who are the investors or the savers, they seek a return on the money that they have. They come into the capital markets, and surprisingly, we have these individuals who also need money to do something, or to either grow their business or expand their business, invest in the new products and stuff like that. So that the capital market then facilitates bringing these players together. Now, one thing you may not have appreciated is that through the capital markets, the various products that you know are manufactured. So your treasury bill or your bonds or the mutual fund, they are all manufactured through this bringing of providers of capital and users of capital together, and then the instruments are created. So when a user of capital wants to borrow money or raise money for whatever purpose, they issue these type of instruments. So the bonds that people will buy, the treasury bills people will buy, the equities they will buy, they are being manufactured in this process.
There are channels or processes through which money is raised.
Yes.
I was going to say revenue is mobilized, but let's break it down. Money is raised.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Then when you look at all of this, you can now start breaking the capital market or the markets into various parts. You have the equity markets, you've got the debt markets, then you have the money markets, then you've got the currency markets, and then you have commodity markets. And these are various marketplaces, but together when they come, you've got a financial market for
the components or the different descriptors you've just shared. Are they fixed or do they evolve?
Well, largely they are fixed, but of course there may be an evolution. Something that is a subset can somehow grow so quickly and then become an offshoot on its own and stand on its own.
I suppose a question, Derek, I'd like you to make a note of when we get in. And I ask the question because we're trying to get the ordinary person to also understand this. Yeah. My blue chip people on Independence Avenue, they understand what you're talking about. Yeah. But the ordinary person, are the reason for the descriptors, because, don't answer that now, Derek, make a note of it, because of the regulational framework that's been created. That's why you can't have one market that does all of it, and so you have a commodities market, you have a X market, Y market, because of the framework and the regulation that's around it. Is this the reason why?
Yes, largely because of the regulations around it, and also because of how those markets function. So for instance, if you are talking about the currency market, how the currency market functions is completely different from how the commodities market will function.
Hold that thought for me. We'll get a bit more into detail because I think that one of the markets we understand a lot in this country is a forex market.
Okay.
The ordinary person understands the forex market a lot more than they would other markets. But when we get interactive, I'd like you to talk a bit more about that. But let's come back to you.
Right. So with those distinctions, then it lays the groundwork for you to understand what the landscape looks like. And I like to break the landscape into about 4 parts, where you've got the insurance industry, you have the banking and specialized deposits industry, you've got the investment management
that's the biggest
industry,
one.
The biggest one, and then the capital markets as well. So together, that's your financial markets. The insurance, as it's called, that's where you buy and sell insurance products. The banking space, your deposit accounts, your borrowing, the bank borrowing that you do, all of that is done in the in the banking space. Then you've got the investment management space. That's where pensions are managed, your assets, fund management occurs, your private equity, the individual investment accounts that everybody has, or one way or the other, that's where it sits. Then the capital markets, that's where you have the stockbrokers, where the stockbrokers are, where the bonds and equities are issued for those who want to raise money. And so those will be the broad landscape in terms of the financial markets.
Right.
Moving on today, what we're going to skip the insurance side and skip the banking side and zero in more on the investment management and then the capital market space as the conversation evolves. Now, within the capital market space, you've got the what we have the stockbrokers, we have got the exchanges, you have the central securities depository, you have the registrars, you've got custodians, you have the collective investment scheme, asset manager. All of these are actors within the capital market space, and they all have a role to play, and we'll talk about those next. But before we talk about the role that the individuals within the space plays, it's important to also understand what the regulation looks like. Now, for the capital markets and investment management space, it's regulated and overseen by the Securities and Exchange Commission. SEC. That's the common name is SEC. Yes.
Popular
not
as well.
not to be confused with the state enterprises. This one is Securities
and Exchange Commission.
Exactly.
Okay.
They regulate the business of investments and securities. Okay. They also authorize all the companies and all the players that play within the securities market or the capital market.
You must be licensed to play there.
You've got to be licensed to play in that space. They require the individuals, so the companies must be licensed. The individuals working within these companies all have to be licensed as well.
Right.
And all of that is done by the SEC. And a note here, money or investment, money you keep in an investment account or a brokerage account, please, it's not a deposit. Just for clarification, it is not a deposit. Under the law, it's not a deposit.
What is it?
It's an investment. And therefore, you could lose it when things go wrong or you don't talk to the right people. Then we come on to the next regulator in the financial markets, which is the Bank of Ghana, or BOG. We will talk about everybody's acronym, it's the alphabet soup. They authorize the business of deposit taking. And here we're talking about commercial banking, rural banking, microfinance, leasing. All of that is overseen by the Bank of Ghana. And here individuals operating in this space are required to be they're required to hold a CIB qualification from the Chartered Institute of Bankers. And here, I'm comfortable to say that money kept in a bank account is a deposit. So, per law, you will not lose it if something goes wrong. It's there, it's protected under the Deposit Protection Act. Then you've got the National Insurance Commission, which oversees insurance, and their short name acronym is NIC.
NIC,
yes.
yeah.
And everything related to insurance, the brokerage, the general insurance, the life insurance, they oversee it as well. Now, last week, Eugenia was asked a tough question about whether insurance was an investment or not. And one of the things that I wanted to add on to her response was that there are some insurance products that have investment features. Okay. But those are not deposits as well. You can lose your money if it goes wrong in that regard. So that is also one of the things to keep in mind. Then we've got the National Pensions Regulator, Regulatory Authority, or NPRA. We like our acronyms.
It helps us remember.
And they regulate the business of pensions in the country. And most of these firms are usually actuarial. They have the actuarial scientists and also SEC licensed fund managers overseeing the pots of money that sit in there. Now, moving on to the next slide, which is the different players. And I mentioned earlier on, we've got investment advisors, we have wealth managers, exchanges, stockbrokers, we have bank RMs, as we've mentioned them. You've got a financial planner. What do they all do? And it's important to understand that. So your investment advisor, they provide investment advice regarding securities and investments. Okay, bonds, what type of bonds to buy, what type of stocks or equities to buy, what type of mutual funds to buy. That's the work of an investment advisor. They also give you the ongoing advice. Okay, you've bought it. What time do you sell it? Or is it time to buy some more? That's the work of an investment advisor. They are licensed by, again, SEC. Then you've got your fund managers and portfolio managers. They are a type of investment advisor. In fact, many fund managers are licensed as investment advisors, and they usually work with people who require hand-holding in terms of investing. You don't have the time to build your own portfolio. You go to Derek, and Derek will construct a nice portfolio for you to manage your investments. And he'll tell you all the fancy stuff about, okay, let's keep 5% here, let's put some 10% or 20%.
What are they called again?
Those are the fund managers.
Fund managers.
Portfolio managers as well. Then you have your stockbrokers. They are also a type of investment advisor, but they are concerned more with executing the investment decisions. So when Derek makes a decision to buy MTN or to buy GCB or SIC for your investment portfolio, he comes to a stockbroker, who will then execute in the market for him, buy it on the exchange or wherever that security is
so that sounds to me like this hand holding all the way, which is helpful.
Yes, there's hand holding all the way, unless you become very big and you don't want the hand holding.
Right.
That one too, you can do that one
right.
as well. Then you've got the commercial bank RMs, and these are typically hired by commercial banks who provide some level of advice. They are not investment advisors, and I want to clarify that as well. Commercial, unless they've been taking the SEC GISI exam and have been licensed as an investment advisor by SEC, they are not investment advisors. Most likely, what they are telling you about your investment portfolio that sits in the banks on the bank side, if they are not licensed, then there's a problem. But they're generally not licensed, and they do not provide advice per se in the sense that the professional investment advisors would be providing. Then we've got the exchanges. Okay, the exchanges provide what we call a marketplace or a trading venue for the buying and selling of various securities, either your equities, your bonds, or your ETFs or commodities. And they ensure transparency in the dealings that are going on in that marketplace. They also set and enforce the rules of play when you decide to play in that space. Then you've got what we call the CSD, or the Central Securities Depository. Yes. They keep ownership of the records of all the securities transactions, securities accounts that exist within the marketplace.
The stocks or bonds.
To buy any of these stocks or bonds in a formal marketplace, i.e. Ghana Stock Exchange or Ghana Fixed Income Market, you must have a CSD account. You cannot trade without it. So that's their role. Their role is to ensure that there's appropriate record keeping that is going on within the securities landscape or marketplace, and that ensures and instills confidence from the investing public. They also process corporate actions. Basically, when a stock pays a dividend, they make sure that the right person is receiving the dividend, and they'll be receiving it at the correct time as well. Then we've got the people we call the registrars or the transfer agents. They also maintain some sort of information regarding the securities, but these are more for the companies that are issuing the securities or these products into the marketplace. They work on behalf of them to maintain the shareholder registers. They maintain the number telling you how many shareholders you have, how many units that each shareholder holds, and all of those. That's the work that the registrar does. And typically in some countries you'd hear the registrar also being called the transfer agent as well. The business they do there is just facilitating the transfer between themselves or doing the record keeping there. Then we've got the custodians and trustees. They safeguard financial assets in the market, and they ensure on behalf of the investors. So most likely when you've bought if you didn't buy the securities into your own account on your own, and you bought it through a mutual fund, you most likely have a custodian or a trustee safeguarding those assets so that the fund manager does not misbehave in any way. So before a fund can go wrong, a mutual fund or a collective investment scheme can really go wrong, then there must have been some loose control across board for that. So for a number of things. So rarely do you see problems at the mutual fund or the collective investment scheme level. Then we have my favorite player or the issuing houses. they are the ones who bring securities to the market. So when a mutual fund wants to issue securities, when a company wants to issue bonds or issue equity, they do the hand holding of bringing those securities to the market, offering it to the public to buy, and then the company then receives the funds that they're looking at receiving. And that's what they all do in a nutshell. Now we talk about how companies raise money. So we've told you who does what, now how it's actually done. So a company can raise money via about three ways, either by borrowing, which is debt, or by issuing equity, or by issuing what we call the hybrid instruments as well. And the main purpose there is to expand or their business, or create jobs, or innovate in a specific area. Now the debt, we'll talk about each of them. In terms of raising or borrowing money, we call this the debt capital markets. And here in public, they are in two forms, either public markets or private markets.
Private markets,
exactly. Right. And typically in the private markets, you see them banks are the ones who tend to dominate the private type of borrowing. Then you've got you can also have bonds which are issued privately, and commercial paper which is issued privately as well. But when you come to the public space, most of all the transactions that are happening there are usually being issued either via bonds or commercial
government
paper.
Instruments.
Government instruments are a type of bond or
Right.
a type of commercial paper,
Right.
but they call it bills. Then you have the equity capital markets, and here they are also in a private and public form as well. So in the capital markets is really made up of public and private parts of the markets. And the private side, you've heard private equity, or between you and me, we decide to start a business and contribute a bit of capital. You also bring them. That's also a form of private equity raising, and we start our business. That's private capital going into the equity side of the business. And in the public side, we've got what we call the initial public offerings, or the IPOs, which is selling shares to the company for the very first time. And that's how MTN came to market. That's how all the listed companies, about 35 of them, they offered their shares to the public for the very first time through IPOs, in terms of raising capital or becoming listed companies. Then we have what we call the rights issues. That one basically you're already listed and you want to raise in more capital, so you issue additional rights to your shareholders. Then you've got the hybrid capital markets, which is where you hear the preference shares and convertible bonds. They are issued through the hybrid capital markets, and that's in a nutshell how companies raise money through those avenues.
Those channels.
Yes.
Right.
Now, in terms of the process, on the screen, and apologies for your viewers, it looks a little bit complicated, but it's actually not.
We can explain it
yes,
and
we'll
make
explain
it simple. Yeah.
It starts with finding. The first one is the origination stage, which is where either an investment bank or a bank decides to go to a customer to try and get them to raise money. That same process as well. The reverse side is when a customer walks into a bank or approaches an investment bank and says, I want to raise money. And then we ask a question, what type of money do you want to raise? Okay, that's where we go through the motions of understanding the business, what type of capital they are looking for. Are they looking for short-term capital? Are they looking for medium-term or long-term capital? Once we've answered those two questions, now we type what type of instruments are they going to now raise? Okay, is it equity or debt? We've got to answer all of those questions. So by going through the motions,
I have a question on that. That's why I'm smiling.
Fantastic. By going through that process,
Yeah.
we start to pin down exactly what the client wants to do,
Right.
or the company wants to do. And once we pin that down, we now go through the real process. Okay, you want to borrow money. You don't want to issue equity. Okay, no problem. All right. What type of borrowed money do you want? Do you want short-term or long-term? Okay, we want to build a factory. That's more medium term and long term. Okay, so let's issue some bonds. And then we now get through the process of issuing the bond, putting your documents together, understanding your corporate governance. Corporate governance is a very important conversation when you decide to talk public markets. The markets will not treat you very well if your corporate governance is not up to par.
I think another way of saying that is that the markets are also another form of the court of.
In fact, that public opinion can be very scathing because they will not buy your bonds or your securities in the market if your corporate governance is not on point. Then the final stage, we've done all the work. We've now assembled all the documents, put everything together. We do what is called distribution. The distribution is also called the donkomi. Yeah. Mumeto. Yeah, so you find Derek. That's Derek's favorite activity, calling people up. We've got this nice company around. They are selling some bonds in the business. Would you like to buy some? And he now tells you all the reasons.
And the next question you get is, if I put 100 cedis in 2 months, what will I get?
Exactly. That's one of the big questions we face.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's the process from the origination stage to the distribution stage. We've condensed it.
We have indeed.
Yes. And the most important thing to understand here is that any type of company a bank can issue bonds or securities. Insurance companies can do it. Asset managers themselves can do it as well. Pension funds decide to if they want to.
Is it only limited to limited liabilities, or other types of businesses can also do this?
Well, the preferred is the limited liability scope. Of course, this is not a legal advice. You'd have to take some advice from a lawyer on the appropriate
disclaimer.
Yes, on the appropriate corporate form to try and come to market. There are different things that can be done, but they will be best placed to advise on
you should find the one that suits you.
Yeah, and one thing I'll add to just that corporate structure is that if you are coming into the market as a public company, then if you are not already a public company, you need to convert to that. So if you're a limited liability company, then you have to convert to a public limited company, so the PLC. It's a fairly straightforward process. A few fees you pay here and there, obviously.
But I suppose that's not even the major concern. The concern is that now your business is everybody's business.
Exactly.
We'll get to that part.
Sure.
But let's allow people to land.
Right. Okay. So that's how they raise money. Then you've got so after all of that, then you see the company has access to some capital and they can now grow. If the economy or the economy is in positive territory, they will thrive. If not, then they may struggle a little bit, but still you will see they've got the capital that they need in order to do the things they want to do.
Liquidity to move.
Exactly.
Room to maneuver.
Exactly. All of that. But then this cuts across all industries. So it's not the capital markets where you're raising capital is not limited to certain types of business. All industries. So long as we can articulate the company's story to the market, they should be able to tap the market very easily.
Very, very condensed presentation, I'll say. Kofi, thank you so much. If you just tuned in, this is Masterclass here on your Superstation Joy 99.7. By all means, we want you to be a part of this conversation. Many questions I have, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions as well. We'll be opening the phone line shortly. And before we do that, we'll take a quick message. We'll be right back.
Your favorite on-air business development program, Joy Business Masterclass, is in session, and you can interact with us on Facebook via the Joy 99.7 FM or Joy Business pages. If you tweet, the handle is at Joy 997 FM or at Joy Business GH. Don't forget to hashtag JB Masterclass. You can also call us on 0302 216541 or send your questions and contributions through to the WhatsApp number 0551 111997, and our facilitators will address your concerns. Attention everyone, class is in progress.
Welcome back. If you just tuned in, this is Masterclass. Today on the show, we're talking about understanding the capital markets, all the bonds, the T-bills, the questions that you ask me when you meet me. Today, we brought the gentleman in the studio and we're answering all of those questions. We're interactive right now. Right now, the phone lines are open. Numbers to call 0302-216-541. That's 0302-216-541. You can also send us your comments on 055-1111-997. That's 055-1111-997. If you're driving, please do not text while you drive. We definitely want you to arrive alive. But otherwise, pick up that phone, give us a call, 0302-216-541. Or send us your comments on 055-1111-997. Just to also remind us, as today's show is brought to us by Goil. Goil, good energy. Goil, Yenara, Yedia. If you have any motor vehicle of any kind, then Goil has some great news for you. Good energy brings you Goil Super XP, the ideal choice for most vehicles. It is flowing wah-wah at many Goil stations in the country. So just go fuel up your vehicle and enjoy a smooth ride with all the benefits. Goil Super XP is quality and gives you the correct choice when buying regular fuel. Goil, good energy. Goil, Yenara. Yeah, phone lines are open, like I said, 0302-216-541, or send us your comments or questions. Surely you want to understand what's going on with your money. You have a lot of sentiments. Let's talk about them today on the show. Talking about them, we learn where the mistakes happened and how to avoid them in the future. So call us on 0302-216-541 or send us your comments on 055-1111-997. Kofi, I think you had a last slide. You want to land that properly?
Yes.
And then we can go straight into
exactly.
Some engagements.
My closing words here is that the capital markets are for everyone, for investors, for companies, for savers, even for governments. They can tap the capital markets. It helps to build wealth and companies to grow and nations to prosper. And it's important to understand that the future of Ghana's growth is really tied to the depth of our capital market. So it's important that we all get actively involved. And to be actively involved, what I say is that invest wisely, seek advice, and then also think very long term in terms of your decision.
I think the one that stuck with me is seek advice.
That's very important.
Derek, let's come to you. Derek is the head of investment banking at IC Securities. You want to share some quick thoughts while we're waiting for the phone lines to ring? I have a ton of questions, but just very briefly.
Sure. I just wanted to add to what Kofi indicated, that generally the capital markets is there to help anybody that wants to raise capital or those who want to invest. But it's very important that you know exactly what you're doing. It may seem, in most cases, especially very early on in my career, I've had clients or investors, potential investors, who will walk up to me and say, they will tell you exactly, I want to buy Anglo Gold Ashanti. No advice, they just hear gold, they want to buy that. It's a very dangerous thing.
It's called perception.
Exactly.
Perception can really see for the one who perceives.
Exactly. And if you don't know what you're doing and you go to a broker and say you want Anglo Gold Ashanti, they will give you Anglo Gold Ashanti. But when you lose it or you lose money on it, you are now coming back to learn from it.
But it's your fault.
So it's always important that, yes, we are there. It's accessible to everybody, both the issuers or the companies and potential investors. But it's very important that you understand what you are doing. And it's very important that you seek qualified advice before you move into it. Because it can be very harmful if you don't understand what you're doing. But it could be very, very, very gainful. You make a lot of money as well if you know exactly what you're doing and you're seeking the right advice.
You know, before we came on air, we were talking about it passionately, and we said that it's one of those areas. There are a few areas, in my opinion, and again, this is my personal opinion, disclaimer issued, that when people don't understand, they sort of move away from it. Shipping is one of those areas. So everybody who is an agent, I don't want to get in there because it's super complicated, or so I think it is. Same thing with capital markets. People don't want to go there and that's why we talked about the various channels. We talked about banking. It's achieved the most saturation. And so people will walk into a bank and ask questions. So when you talked about RMs not being accredited, I smiled because I don't think that's what's happening on the ground. But I think I've got a couple of messages coming through. The message is not too clear, but please send that. Okay, it says, good afternoon, boss. Please ask your guests which investment policies they will advise me to invest in. Also, which investment company would they advise me to use? Papa answer from Latin. Papa answer, this is your question. I can answer it to that. My producer is looking at me, so I won't answer it. Kofi, do you want to help us?
Right. So look, in terms of advice, and this was talked about last week as well, no two people can have the same they may look the same, but the advice that will be given to them is different. So in all cases, please talk to an investment advisor or a stockbroker before you decide to invest in any particular security or instrument. Now, in terms of which investment company to use, I'd love to say give me a call, but there's an extensive list that sits on Ghana Stock Exchange's website, where you can go through all the companies, all the stockbrokers.
But you are here, or you are not allowed to tout like lawyers. You are here, so if anybody needs help, reach out to Kofi at Sarpong Capital or at Derek at IC Securities.
Right.
I'm sure you put out your phone numbers just before we go.
Right.
Yeah, that's why you're here.
So, but then there is a list that sits on Ghana Stock Exchange's website, and also look. You want to know that every firm you're dealing with is licensed. Go to SEC's website. Each of the players I mentioned has a section on that website, the SEC website, that lists all those in good standing on the website. So you have a view of everybody, and you give anybody a call. If you think you can't make that decision, you can pick up the phone and call SEC directly and say, I'm thinking about this company. Should I? They'll say, oh yeah, they're in good standing. Give them a call. And it works that way.
Right.
There's just to also add to what Kofi is saying, just a few weeks ago, I did my annual medical checks, right? And just like any other person will do it, if you're going to do any checks or you're thinking about something, you go to someone that somebody has recommended. But after that exercise, you then sit back and think that, okay, I want a second opinion. So by all means, similar as Papa is saying, you want to get into investment. You can pick up the phone, you can talk to the guys at SEC, they can recommend somebody. But by all means, when you engage them, you can also bounce off whatever the first person said with another investment advice. And I think people are discerning enough based on the advice, the quality of advice that you got from either firms. You can make your own decision and move forward. But it's important what Kofi said, that advice could vary. So always kind of double check and see which one works best for you.
I've got another quick reaction on social media. This one is from Emmanuel on YouTube. It says, Ghana, for gather around and learn. So wahala with people putting money into investments and not knowing a thing about the company except looking for souvenirs during the AGM. This is good. I'm sure he means that the education is good. The other comment. Okay, he says, I'm looking to raise 1 billion Ghana cedis to operate a football club in Ghana. Is there any way this can be done through capital markets in Ghana? This is Asekem Football Club on YouTube. I think this is where I ask you guys to put out your contacts for your companies. Are you able to do that now?
Sure.
Yes?
Sure.
Okay, so Derek, let's start with you.
Sure. So I find you can reach out to me directly.
Okay.
So my number is 0244 155 765. And once you get through to me, essentially you're through to IC Securities, and we will be able to help you with.
And they can find you online as well.
Yes.
Super.
Yes.
Kofi,
So
where do we find you after today?
Likewise, online you can find us,
Okay.
Sarpong Capital, www.sarpongcapital.com,
Okay.
and you can reach me directly on 0244 204 987. And we'll put you in touch with the relevant team as well.
Okay, I've got about 3 or 4 more minutes. Would like to pop some questions in there, but I want to give this opportunity to my listeners. Please, I know you have questions. I know some of you are upset. Some of you, but you see, the thing is we don't have a choice. We have to go back and do this investment thing. If you keep your money in your room, it's losing value. Do you know that your money can lose value when it's lying in your room? So let's put it to some good use. Pick up that phone, give us a call, 0302-216-541, or you've had an experience you want to share. Life is too short for all of us to make the same mistakes. Pick up that phone, give us a call, 0302-216-541, or send us your message on 055-11-11997. You asked a question, you talked about, Kofi, in your presentation. You said you have to have a CSD account. You talked about the different players. I got dizzy at some point. Whose responsibility is it to create a CSD account? Is it the person who sells to me and then various hoops through I jump, or I the one doing the buying? I have to walk to wherever and create the account.
Okay. All right. So in terms of the CSD account, usually your investment point of contact, either your investment advisor, your fund manager, or your stockbroker will
walk you through the process.
Open the CSD account for you.
Okay, in the capital market, I mean, because of all these terminologies, they're quite heavy for a Wednesday afternoon. I know you did your best to water them down, but when you mention 3 of them in succession, people start getting dizzy. But you said that RMs are not investment advisors. I know it's you are speaking from a professional standpoint, but in terms of saturation in the industry, financial industry, people know banks more than they know brokerages, more than they know SEC. More than people are hearing SEC for the first time today. If you're not in the industry, is there a way we can bridge the gap? Have our RMs trained, certified, even if you will, because in treasury finance, the certification. I know in stock markets, the certification, the Ghana Stock Exchange is doing all of that. Can we not do same with the Bankers Association for our RMs in the banks so that they become certified? Because whether you like it or not, they are most likely the first point of contact for the customers. And this is one of the reasons why when things went bust, people went back to the banks and attacked them. Care to share some thoughts?
So maybe I'll give it a go and then Kofi will come in. I think that it's important that the public understands who you are talking to for what. So if you're talking about bank debt, loans, all of that, you're thinking more about the bank. And it's very important that when you go to the bank and you are talking about stocks, you are talking about raising money and so on. I think that that's where a bit of regulation should come in. They need to point the customer to the right person, because yes, we think of the bank as the full service provider. I don't think that it's right, because when you go there and you're talking stocks, your RM might give you their personal view. They are not trained, they are not certified to be able to provide that kind of advice. If you're talking loans, they can tell you the rates, they can tell you, even if you're talking treasury bills, they can tell you what to do. So I think that perhaps from a regulatory and policy point of view, we need to think about it.
A bigger conversation needs to be had
and pointed in the right direction. But the onus always falls on the person that is engaging.
Right.
Do a bit of research and know where to go. If you are in doubt, call the regulators, and they will point you in the right direction.
Okay. Maybe in 30 seconds, if you will, Kofi, how does the capital market influence sectors like infrastructure, energy, health, generally the economy?
That's a conversation that we could spend a whole day talking about. But in a nutshell, look, these sectors or industries rely on the capital market to fund the infrastructure growth that is required for each of these areas. So for me, that interaction needs to exist, and I'm happy to say that the 24-hour economy secretariat did engage the capital markets a couple of weeks ago on how we could bring infrastructure and capital markets together in a very formal manner. So the conversations are being had there.
What I'm going to do is, there's a lot of questions we couldn't finish on. So after the show, I'm going to probably have that conversation with you guys, and I'll put it up on my TikTok page so that people are able to follow. But if we remember nothing from today, Kofi, let's start with you. What should we remember?
Invest wisely, seek advice.
Invest wisely, seek advice. That's Kofi. Derek, if we remember nothing from today.
Well, first and foremost, I'm an investment banker, so I will tell whether you're a corporate or you are an issuer out there, there are pools of capital. There are pension funds out there who are looking to invest. So if you with the right structure, with the right advice from your advisor, you will find that capital. So
in other words, as you are looking for money, money is also looking for you. Okay, this has been Masterclass here on your Superstation. That's all time will allow us. We've been here in the studio with Kofi Koduah-Sarpong, CEO of Sarpong Capital, and Derek Mensah, Head of Investment Banking at IC Securities. I wish we had a bit more time, but that's all time will allow us. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you same time next week.